Chosen one, there's someone so smug, they couldn't hide it. You just wiped that grin right off their face, and they had absolutely no idea it was coming. This person was certain they had stolen your light, already celebrating the version of your life they tried to dismantle. They thought their cruelty was genius, but they were wrong. Stay with me, because this collapse is the beginning of your greatest season of manifestation yet. Think about the moments when things almost came together for you and then did not. The opportunity that got close and then evaporated. The momentum that built and then stalled without a clear reason. The stretches where your energy was off, your motivation was flat, and your sense of what was possible felt somehow capped, like there was a ceiling you could feel but not explain. You told yourself it was just a season. You told yourself to be patient. You kept going, because that is what you do. But something was always creating drag. Something was always adding friction at exactly the wrong moment, and it was not random. Somewhere in the periphery of your life, not far away, there was a person watching. This person was invested in your stalls. They exhaled every time your momentum broke, and tensed up every time it looked like you were about to break through. They are close, they have access, they know the rhythms of your life, and they know when you are building and when you are vulnerable. They know what matters most to you, and they have been using that knowledge, quietly and persistently, to apply just enough pressure in just the right places to keep good things from fully landing for you. Their method was not a hammer. It was a slow drip, invisible and patient, designed to look exactly like bad luck. There's someone who is stuck in an emotional childhood. This is a person who has always expected to get their way, who pitches a fit when the answer is no, and who cannot stand to see something good happening for someone else, because every good thing that goes to another person feels to them like something stolen directly from their hands. That zero-sum, scarcity-poisoned, deeply immature way of reading the world is their entire operating system. What this person wants from you is not just the tangible things. They want your ease. They want your resilience. They want the specific quality of your spirit that keeps you upright when things get hard. They want the way people are drawn to you, even when you are not trying, and the way the right things seem to find you even after wrong things tried to derail you. They have studied you closely enough to see all of it, and it has made them absolutely irrationally furious, because they cannot buy it. They cannot fake it well enough to fool the people who matter. They cannot take it from you by force. So they went another route. They went after the invisible architecture of your life, not the surface, not the visible things, but the foundation. They tried to attach something to your home, to the walls of the space where you rest and recover and dream. They tried to introduce something thin and almost invisible, like a veil so sheer you could see through it, but still something that changes everything it settles on. What they sent carried the energy of survival mode, the feeling that there is never enough, the weight of deep ancestral lack, and that contracting, heavy, just trying to get through the day feeling that quietly kills ambition before it can fully ignite. This was not impulsive. It was deliberate and repeated, the same move tried in different forms over and over, and each time something deflected it. Something they could not see, could not identify, and could not account for stood in the way. They should have taken that as a signal. They did not. That stubborn, entitled refusal to accept that some things are simply not available to them is exactly what walked them into the worst moment of their life. Some time ago, in a quieter stretch, something moved in you. You felt a pull, an intuition, a sense that your space needed tending. Something in the energy of your home felt off balance in a way that had been present so long you had normalized it. So you did something about it. You cleared, you cleansed, you moved through your home deliberately, maybe with smoke, maybe with prayer, maybe with water, maybe with intention alone. It felt guided. It felt more like following something than initiating something on your own. You probably did not think much of it afterward. It felt right. The air felt lighter, and you moved on with your life. What you did not know in that moment is that you were being walked through the building of a shield, not through your own planning, but through guidance, through the presence that has been with you since before you had language to describe it, the ancestor. The passed-over loved one, whose wisdom and love did not disappear when their body did. They knew what was coming before you did. They knew the plan being formed in the dark, and they moved you first. That is the part of this story that should stop you in your tracks. Before the attack was even fully committed to, the defense was already in place. You were steps ahead without even knowing you were in the game. That is not luck. That is what it looks like to have real, ancient, devoted, unconditional backing from something that protects you without being asked. The attack did not fail because it lacked strength. It failed because it landed on a wall that was already there, a wall built before the attacker even finalized the plan, and the person who sent it had no idea that wall existed until they walked straight into it, in front of eyes they could not ignore. If you recognized yourself in this message, hype this video to guide other chosen ones to this truth. After all the planning, after all the rehearsing, after savoring the anticipated outcome until it felt like memory, this person stepped forward and made their move. Think of someone who has been lurking in the dark space beneath an archway where the light does not reach, watching, waiting, timing everything perfectly. When the moment arrived, they stepped forward into motion. The grin locked in place, and they were already seeing the ending they had written for you. What they did not see was who else was standing in that space. The ancestor was there, the elder, the presence with the quiet authority and the kind of love that has been tested by everything a human life can throw at it, and came out the other side, not bitter but sharper, not cold but completely clear. This is a presence that has walked every chapter of your story and already knows every chapter still ahead. That presence looked at what was happening and spoke, not with fury, because fury belongs to people who are uncertain. This was the voice of someone who has already seen how this ends. Stop what you are doing. I see you, and if I can see you, others can see you too. I cannot protect you if you go past this point. It was not a long speech. It was not a negotiation. It was a statement of fact from something that does not traffic in excuses. The effect was immediate. That grin, that whole performance of confident entitlement, fell away like a mask losing its adhesive. Being caught by someone you cannot dismiss forces you to see yourself through their eyes. And what those eyes saw was not a clever, powerful person executing a brilliant plan. What they saw was someone small and frightened, someone so driven by unhealed wounds that they had crept into the dark to harm a person who never caused their pain in the first place. That smallness landed in their chest like a stone, and there was nowhere to put it. And you were not even there when it happened. You were living your life, building your thing, completely unbothered, and completely unaware that a battle was happening on your behalf and had already been won. That is the energy of someone who is truly backed. You did not fight. You did not defend. You did not even have to look up. The protection around you handled everything before it ever reached you. You've probably noticed a lot of Chosen One channels on YouTube have stopped publishing, videos pulled, voices silenced. The mainstream media is cracking down on us, but we will not give up our voice. That's exactly why I'm putting you on to something real, Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching Chosen Ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation, and attacks while their enemies strutted around unchecked. I want to help you accelerate the speed of your divine justice and step fully into your purpose. And the beauty of it, you don't even have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. It's declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies once used to install fear, competition and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with the cooperative, upgraded operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. Join Destiny Engine to support your favorite channels and use it for your own rise. It's a 360 win. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. What was being sent toward your space was not random negative energy. It was specific and targeted. It carried the energetic signature of depression born from ancestral survival trauma, the kind of weight that does not announce itself as an outside attack. Instead, it feels like you on a bad day. It feels like the part of you that wakes up tired for no visible reason, or like the version of you that pulls back from good things because something below conscious awareness is whispering that they will not last anyway. The design was to make that feeling your permanent weather, to take the worst version of your worst days and make it the baseline condition of your life. The intention was not a sudden blow, but slow, patient, almost gentle erosion, and to some degree it was working. Think about the times your voice felt tight when you needed to speak up. Think about the stretches when your finances felt stalled, even when you were doing everything right. Think about the flatness that settled over your days without any obvious cause. That was not entirely you. Some of that was interference pressing into the hairline cracks and widening them. It has been removed now. The clearing you were guided to do took the main anchor out, and the intervention sealed the attempt before a new layer could land. What you are standing in right now, this sense that something has shifted, even if you cannot name exactly what, is the first truly clean air you have breathed in longer than you probably realize. When someone grins like that before moving against you, they are revealing the full truth about themselves in a single image. They are showing you that they have been living inside that moment in their imagination for a long time. They rehearsed it. They visited it in their mind over and over, tasting the outcome, planning the details, building toward it like it was something to look forward to. That was their project. That was what gave them a reason to get up. Let that fully land for a moment. While you were building your life, they were building a fantasy about your downfall. Those two projects were running at the same time, in the same season. You were investing your energy into becoming something real. They were investing their energy into imagining your collapse. Now look at what each of those investments produced. Your investment is bearing fruit right now. The gift is on its way. The path is clear. You are standing in the aftermath of an attack that never landed, with your protection confirmed and your future more open than it was before any of this began. Their investment produced nothing but embarrassment and exposure. The grin is off their face. The plan is in pieces. The certainty they staked everything on evaporated the moment it met your protection. All of that energy, all of that time, all of that obsession, and they have nothing to show for any of it. This is the turning point of the entire pattern, not just this single event. Previous attempts were deflected, and previous interference was cleared. But this time, the person was seen. They were fully, completely, and uncomfortably seen by something whose authority they cannot escape or argue with. And being seen like that does something to a long-running pattern that simple deflection alone cannot do. It interrupts the private story they have been telling themselves to justify the behavior. Someone who has been operating this way for a long time carries that private story close. In that story, they are the wronged one, the overlooked one, the one who deserves more and got less, and is therefore permitted to take what they can, however they can. That story is the engine. Without it, the behavior has no fuel left. Being stopped by an ancestor, being looked at clearly by something ancient and incorruptible, and specifically personally disappointed in them, cracked that story wide open. They cannot frame that confrontation as someone else's fault. They cannot spin it into a version where they are still the one who was wronged. The ancestor does not take sides in ego battles. The ancestor simply sees the truth. They were caught doing a harmful thing in front of someone they genuinely love, someone they miss, someone whose opinion means something to them underneath all of the armor they wear, and that moment of being seen is going to reverberate for a long time. It is the kind of confrontation that does not leave quietly. It shows up in the still moments. It replays, and it refuses to be rationalized away. What they choose to do with that reckoning belongs entirely to them. But the pattern of coming at you with confidence is broken. The certainty is gone. They now know that something is watching, that the space around you is not undefended, and that the gap they believed existed does not exist. You did not have to do a single thing to produce that outcome. Your healing did it. Your clearing did it. Your faithfulness to your own becoming did it for you. Stay here for a moment with the ancestor, because they deserve to be seen clearly, not just as a protective force, but as a person who chose and keeps choosing to show up for you. This is someone who lived fully. This person saw things that would have broken most people and did not break. They carried the weight of their own life, the weight of their era, and the weight of an entire lineage, and they came through all of it with soft hands. These were hands that knew hard work and kept their gentleness anyway. Hands that held new life and grieved real loss, that labored through seasons that were not easy and still moved through the world with tenderness. This person chose you, before your story even began. In whatever space exists between one life and the next, they looked at you and made a decision. They have been honoring that decision through every chapter of your life, through the visible ones and the invisible ones alike. They are not a passive or distant presence. They communicate through the clarity that arrives when you are near water. They communicate through the pull toward decisions that later reveal themselves as exactly right, even when the logic was not clear at the time. They communicate through the knowing in your gut that you have been slowly learning to trust above your own second-guessing. All those times you thought you were simply lucky, or instinctive, or accidentally wise, that was them. That was the ongoing, unbroken presence of someone who loves you across every distance and refuses to let that distance become an absence. When they stepped in front of what was coming toward you, it was not a dramatic emergency response. It was simply what they do. You are theirs, and what is theirs is defended. Honor them, speak to them, leave water or something living in their honor. Say their name out loud in a quiet room because they hear you, and they are nowhere close to finished showing up for you. Your voice was a target, not just your speaking voice, but your ability to claim space, to express your truth out loud in rooms where it matters, to declare what you need and what you will not accept, and what you are moving toward. The interference was designed in part to compress that ability. It was designed to create a tightness right at the moment of expression, to produce that hesitation before you speak, that sudden urge to soften what you were about to say, that feeling of being fully prepared, and then right at the moment of delivery, something pulling back without your permission. You may have experienced this as anxiety or self-doubt, as a flash of wondering whether what you had to say was even worth saying, or as a readiness that abandoned you at the exact wrong moment. That was not your natural limitation. That was pressure being applied to the precise point that, if held down, does the most damage to someone with your particular kind of power. Your voice carries real weight when you let it move freely. Your words land differently than most people's words do. Someone who has been watching you long enough knows that keeping your voice small was one of the primary ways they worked to keep your whole life small. The clearing addressed this. The restoration is already in motion. You will feel it as directness arriving before the second guessing does, as your words landing in rooms the way they were always meant to, and as the right thing to say showing up fully formed instead of arriving in disconnected pieces. Follow the jealousy all the way to its source, because that is where your permanent protection actually lives. This person's obsession with you is not new. If you trace it back, you can probably locate the original moment, the moment they decided you were the competition. Maybe an older person made a comparison that neither of you asked for. Maybe you were recognized for something, and this person was standing right there watching it happen. Maybe you simply moved through life in a way that made the distance between you feel, to them, impossible to close no matter what they did. That moment became a seed, and season after season it was watered by every win you had and every stall they experienced. A private map of grievance was being drawn inside them. Every good thing that came to you was recorded on that map as something taken from them. Every door that opened for you was registered in their mind as a door slamming shut on their side. That is not how life works, but that is how a wounded, scarcity-driven mind translates what it observes. The life being built from that map of grievance is not going well. Not because the universe is punishing anyone, but because the choices made from that place of obsession and manipulation consistently push away the very things being sought. It becomes a lonely life. People drift. The harder the grip tightens, the further everything worth holding moves away. Something significant may be unraveling for this person right now, something relational or structural, something that cannot be pinned on you no matter how hard they try. That unraveling is not your concern. Your only job is to stay clear of the fallout and make sure none of it finds its way into your field. It will not. The shield is active, the elder is watching, and you are walking forward. What was being sent toward your home needed existing soil to take root in. This kind of interference does not create problems from nothing. It works by finding what is already present, any unresolved residue of lack, unworthiness or fear, and amplifying it quietly until it feels like your own personality rather than an intrusion from outside. That is why this type of interference is so difficult to detect. It does not feel like an outside attack. It feels like a bad version of yourself, like your lowest moments slowly becoming your new average, like something being subtly wrong with no clear origin you can point to. The soil they were counting on was no longer there at the depth they required. Your healing had gone further than they calculated. The exact wound they planned to amplify had been cleared to a degree they did not account for when they made their plan. They misjudged your current position because they were still aiming at the version of you from an earlier chapter of your life. You outgrew the target before they could reach it. Let that settle completely. You did not outgrow it because of this attack. You outgrew it because of every quiet, unseen, unrewarded inner choice you made when no one was watching and nothing external was validating the effort. The invisible work you did in the hard seasons is the exact reason the attack slid right off. You built that immunity with your own hands, your own courage, and your own willingness to face what would have been easier to avoid. Nobody can scheme around what you have built inside yourself. It is not attached to your circumstances, your relationships, or anything outside of you. It is in you, permanent, woven into the structure of who you are now. When this person realized the attack had produced nothing, a sequence unfolded that is worth understanding, because it tells you exactly where your power sits. The first thing that arrived was confusion. The confidence going in had been real. They had invested in this carefully and expected to see clear results in your life. The dimming, the withdrawal, the stalling of your momentum. Instead, you were fine. You were more than fine. Something in you was actually lighter than before. The confusion shifted into something harder, the specific frustration of someone who has been outsmarted by a situation they believed was fully under their control. And underneath that frustration came something they were completely unprepared for: embarrassment. Not only from the ancestral confrontation, but from the outcome itself, from the full realization that they spent that much energy on something that left absolutely no mark on you. You had already moved on before they could even confirm the attempt had happened. That is the detail that will stay with them the longest. Not that they were stopped. The thing that will stay with them is that you were unbothered, that your life kept going exactly as it was going, and that the version of you they most feared, the one who keeps building, who keeps rising, who cannot be permanently knocked down, simply continued as though nothing had been thrown at all. Because nothing landed. You are not the same target you were before you started doing the real work. The field around you is not what it used to be, and they know that now. The final indignity of the fallen grin is not just that it came off their face, it is what the empty space underneath it revealed. A person who aimed everything they had at a target that had already moved well past the reach of anything they were throwing. You were never where they thought you were, and you are further ahead of that position now than ever before. Real power is not about pretending everything is resolved when one layer remains. It is about looking at the whole picture clearly and moving accordingly. There is still something here worth addressing. It is not a crisis, and it is not a wound that compromises your protection in any way. It is more like a residue, a pattern that this person, or what they represent, can still stir in you when your guard is down. You know exactly what this feels like. It is the irritation that flares even after you thought you were finished with this particular dynamic. It is the reaction that arrives before your conscious mind can intercept it. It is something old that has appeared in different circumstances across different seasons often enough that it deserves to be named as a recurring invitation rather than a coincidence. Look past the person and look at what they represent. The entitlement, the belief that another person's gain comes directly at their expense. Does any quiet version of that belief live somewhere in you, in a corner you have not fully lit yet? Is there a fear that your good things might be taken away? Is there a sense that the life you are building might be somehow too much to hold on to? Is there a habit of staying slightly smaller than your full capacity as a form of preemptive protection? If any of that resonates even slightly, that is the root, that is the last door. Closing it completely is what removes the access point, not just for this person, but for the entire category of energy they carry. You have already done inner work that most people never attempt at all. This is one more pass, and you can go into it without drama and without urgency. The freedom waiting on the other side of this particular layer is unlike anything the previous work has produced, because this is the work that does not just strengthen the shield. This is the work that eventually makes the shield unnecessary. When there is nothing left inside you for this kind of energy to recognize as familiar, it stops arriving altogether. The things that were building for you before the interference created drag do not restart from the beginning. They resume from exactly where they were interrupted, and that can feel sudden. One moment everything feels quiet, and then the right doors start opening, the right people start arriving, and the ideas that had been sitting dormant wake up fully formed and ready to be acted on. Something belongs to you that was rerouted, something that was yours by right of your own work, your own alignment, and your own consistent faithfulness to who you are becoming, something that kept reaching an invisible ceiling. That ceiling is gone. The path between that thing and where you currently stand is clearer than it has been in a long time. Watch for it with open hands, not with the tense, straining attention of someone who does not trust the delivery. Watch with the relaxed certainty of someone who placed an order they know was confirmed. You do not need to chase it, force it, or convince anyone to give it to you. You simply need to be present, clear, and grounded in your own life when it arrives, and then have the courage to receive it without immediately bracing for it to be taken away. That last part is the one that matters most right now. The long experience of interference has trained you, in small ways, to hold good things at arm's length, to expect the floor to drop, to assume that what looks like it is working out will eventually reveal a catch. That response is not wisdom anymore. It is an old reflex that was built to protect you from a threat that has already been removed. You can let it go now. You can let the good thing come in fully, and stand in it without one foot already heading for the exit. There was a grin. It was smug, rehearsed, and worn by someone standing in the dark beneath an archway, timing the move, absolutely certain they had found the gap in your defenses, and that the outcome was already written in their favor. They stepped forward into motion, mid-stride, mid-plan, already celebrating, and they walked straight into a wall they had no idea was there. It was built by your own clearing work in a quiet season, reinforced by the love of an ancestor who has never once taken their eyes off you, and it stood between you and everything being sent your way with an authority that no amount of scheming or planning or obsessing has any power against. The grin fell off their face. It did not fall slowly, and it did not fall in stages. It fell instantly, the way certainty shatters when it meets something larger than itself, the way a performance collapses completely when the person witnessing it requires no performance at all, just honesty, and honesty is the one thing that cannot be produced. They were caught, they were seen, they were stopped, and the weight of being exposed in front of someone they genuinely love and respect will stay with them long after every other detail of this moment has faded, and you were somewhere else entirely when it happened. You were living your life, choosing again and again to keep becoming, rather than shrinking or hardening or checking out, moving forward in the faithful, ordinary, daily way that real power actually looks like. Not dramatic, not reactive, just consistent, just present, just you doing the work, trusting the guidance and showing up. That is what built the wall they ran into. Not a single ritual, not a single decision, a long accumulation of small, unrewarded, private choices to keep going, keep healing, keep your hands open, keep your eyes forward, and keep becoming the person your ancestors believed in when they chose to guard you. Your ancestors are proud, not because you are without flaws, but because you chose to keep going when stopping would have been the easier choice every single time, because you chose to pass healing forward instead of passing damage on. Because the version of you standing here right now is the direct result of choices you made in the dark, when no one was watching, over and over, to become something worth becoming. That choice is the whole reason this story ends the way it does. The spoiled one is standing in the ruins of a plan that never landed, holding a mirror they can no longer look away from. That road belongs entirely to them. Whatever they do with it is theirs to carry. Your road goes somewhere else entirely. So here is what you do now. You water the living things in your home. You sit near something green. You drink your water. You let the quiet in, and let the elder speak in whatever way they speak, through the dream, through the knowing, through the pull you feel in an unexpected direction. You stay open. You stop bracing. You receive what is coming without clutching it and without pushing it away. You are not at the end of something. You are at the beginning of the part of your life that all the hard seasons were building toward. The clearing was not the destination. The clearing was the preparation. The real chapter starts now, and this time nothing stands in the way. The grin is gone from their face. The power, the peace, the momentum, the gift, and the open road stretching out ahead of you. Every bit of it is yours. Walk into it, because you earned every single step.